social values such as the men are more powerful, the men have the need to take care of this woman in when they don't have to be taken care of, and then it creates the idea that the women are they are not as strong as and they're not as it's not as possible to do the things that they ought to do. Yes.
The fact that you want to achieve equality through means of money, I think that itself devalues female
importance. Okay, so talking about the
importance.
value of the money, right? For a lot of people, for example, in some areas in India where the money pretty much controls everything. Oh, okay, let's not English. Everywhere in the world, let's put that. The money makes the deal, right? That's where a business goes, because we all want to make money. But the thing is, money is not what is important here. We're trying to accomplish through a basic thing such as money equality and money sharing the bill to actually later on we can have other things such as equality in values, right? So women can also go in the parliament and be more participating in the government and also be able to be more dependent on men. So with that, moving to my second point, which is too much burden for the guys, right? We can see that nowadays a woman, they can even have children without men. They can go to an IVF clinic and they can be inseminated and they can have a baby. So then why do we need freaking men to pay for our bills? Just no. Like I said before, the women are in leadership positions, right? They are economically, legally, and physically able to defend themselves. So then why do they have to have the men to control them? So then let's think about the men's perspective in this case. There's too much burden for them. So for all of you university students, they're just here working part-time as your RA job and you're getting 200,000 won a month, and then you've got a girlfriend that she wants to ask you for a Louis Vuitton bag. But you don't have money for it, so then you have to take her to eat dinner. But then she wants to eat really, really expensive things, so you don't have that much money to pay for your girlfriend. So why do you have to put so much burden on the men in this case, right? The men, they are even similar. The girls are exploiting the guys. I'm not calling out the girls B-words, but I'm saying that the girls are just expecting too much from them, and the guys, they are equally in this case. They also need to have the other half to also help and cooperate, just like in any marriage, in any long-term relationship where people expect to have equality, right? When you're married, you don't just raise the children by yourself. You need you usually have your husband or your wife to help you to raise the children. So it's just a long-term thing, right? Both need to be responsibly, financially involved in this case. And for all those reasons, we are proud to propose the motion. Thank you.
Thank you for the speech. Now I'll call for the leader of opposition to the podium. Here, here.
Yeah, yeah.
Before I start, I do have a sense of feeling that guys especially aren't gonna like me for my speech, but I hope you guys can cheer me on as you guys cheer on for her, because I feel kind of left out if you guys don't. Okay, the term Dutch state refers to the meaning of guys and girls in a relationship dividing the bill in order to pay for certain things. These include food, movies, and whatnot. However, what I want to question to you is, the first POI that I raised with the Prime Minister was, why does equality of two genders have to be achieved through terms of financial means? In the status quo, we see that females also can go to school, females can also vote, females can also take some positions in the political arena, like President Park Geun-hye. I'm gonna leave you guys to judge whether she's good or not. But back in the past, like in the Shakespearean era especially, we saw like an era and a notion of men dominating the society, men dominating everything that exists in the world. Men were the only gender that were tagged as being superior, and men were the only gender that could go to school, that could receive education, that could vote, that's got the property rights and whatnot. But what I want to say to you is that, guys, is that in the past, and as history has gone by, times have changed. Times have changed, and now we see that we live in a world of we live in a world where two genders are equally honored, equally respected, and equally privileged, receiving equal benefits. Sit down. So now, before I move on, sorry. So before I move on any further to my arguments, let's rebut. No, thank you. Let's move on to the rebuttals. She said by only having guys paying for the fees, that devalues the whole term and devalues like the identity of women. Alright, so who here has a girlfriend or boyfriend? Jealous. But what I want to ask you two guys is, just because you guys pay for your girlfriend, do your girlfriend feel, oh, I'm being devalued? No, that's not the case. The girlfriend will feel, oh, he loves me. And I feel like, what I want to say to you.
On that point, you're saying that the woman is being paid and buyed by the men because they are buying her dinner, so she's like, okay, I'm gonna love you back then.
If you don't want that, then don't have a boyfriend or girlfriend in the first place. If the guy is willingly to pay for your dinner, pay for your outback, then you should receive that in happiness, not complaining and whinging and whining about, oh, I should have paid, I'm being devalued. What? That's not the case. So moving on to the first argument. It's the argument of freedom of choice, and this is broken up into two levels of analysis. First is the independent freedom of choice, and second, it really depends on situation. So now let's move on to my argument. We see in the status quo that when we go on dates, it seems as if that men are paying for everything. But trends are changing. So what I mean by this is, in a healthy, normal, general couple, the man would tend to buy the meal, and the girl would tend to buy coffee and whatnot. We think that's a healthy relationship and whatnot, but hold on, I'm lost.
Sir. You said it depends on situations, but I see many cases, whether the girl is rich or guy is rich, usually guys still pay. How does it happen then?
I didn't get your point, I'm so sorry. So, what I meant by depending on situation is, there are, especially in the Korean society, such anniversaries like 100일, 200일, 300일, 별의별 exist in the status quo. But then, in that kind of circumstances, in that kind of events, what is likely to happen? The men, because they want to feel responsible. 자기야, 내가 다 사줄게. I'll buy everything. But then, if that's the case, who is the government? Why and how and who is the government to intervene in the kind of personal relationship that exists between two genders and reject the idea of men or women, like in reverse ideas, wanting to show their love and show their affection to the opposite gender?
Then, like you asked before, where we're trying to achieve through the money, right? In Korea, especially, the companies and meetings, they usually just want to meet with the men. They don't want women participating. That's what we're trying to achieve. Like when they're young in a relationship, they're trying to get equality value through dividing a simple view to later on in their lives be more compatible and doing stuff together and being in Korea.
Did anyone get her question? No. Because I don't think I quite grasped it, but if her POI is all about the idea of we want to achieve it through money because in the status quo people only like to work with men, then my answer to you that is money shouldn't be the solution to everything. Although albeit the fact that I'm so regretful that money makes the world go around, but if you think money should be used in order to upgrade yourself, I think, I want to say shame on you because that's not the world that we live in the status quo. In the status quo, we see a world and we see a society of achieved gender equality in the first place, and we don't see any necessity in mandating this motion and passing this motion and hereby inherently and prominently abiding and interfering to a couple's relationship in the status quo. So what I want to say to you is, for those who have a girlfriend and boyfriend, be good to them. Thank you.
Thank you for the speech. Now I'd like to call upon the three Prime Minister to the podium. Here, here.
챔피언. 안 갔나?
Never date this man. I think there's very wrong mindset in 내가 사줄게. It means like guys dominate women. Guys want to dominate women. Because actually, when we have a date, when we actually pay, for example, when guys have to pay something, actually women should wait until the guys really pay. If the guy cannot do something, then they cannot do something, right? Because they said it might be depends on the situation. But culturally, traditionally, already guys pay more or guys pay everything. We believe that it's actually coming from cultural and traditional value. That's why it's very hard to be changed. And now they say the trend is changing, but we believe that this government believes that it's very slow and it's not going effectively. And actually, it's a big obstacle for society to be changed in a better way. Actually, we want women and men to be in the same line, and we want to boost the feminism mindset for the women to be actually actively participate into society. And this actually coming from this relationship, because actually relationship when it starts, actually it actually gives the society the perception that actually women actually don't have to pay a lot as men, because actually they don't pay in many things. When guys pay everything for many cases, and the society automatically believes that actually guys have to earn more because they buy for women. And actually, to marry, they need to date for the date with the women. And when the guys have many of the burden, we believe that actual society is changing in a bad way. That guys pay everything, and guys' perception in society is much better than women.
You're distracting the meaning of buying something to somebody. If I buy you a dinner, does it mean that I control you?
I buy dinner for my juniors because I believe I'm in the better position.
I'm the
and I'm
junior.
ready and having. And I don't think you're gonna buy me every single time. When you buy me something, I should buy too. We believe that it's kind of that way, right? Actually, you're not dominating me, but we are just equal relationship. And actually, we believe that when for example, old people buy for the young people, it might be okay because they are actually in the higher position, right? Actually, it gives social structure and it gives identity to the society. That why women are in the lower position than guys, because guys are already paying. We actually see many cases that older or actually socially higher person buying dinner or meal or actually giving money to like lower class people. Because why? Because actually they are in the higher position. We believe women are men in the equal position. They are not different. Women are not different. They can do whatever they want. They can even have their own family, and they can live with their children. We believe that actually women are not that different from men. That's why we want to pursue this feminism identity to this society, because women are devalued in this society. So they talked about like freedom of choice, why it depends on the situation, and why they have freedom of choice. When this government believes that even if the individual has freedom of choice, when it brings so much social harm to the society, we believe the government has an obligation and actually responsibility to fix this kind of evil social behavior. Yes.
You're talking about social problems, but I think more social problem is going to occur when you mandate a girl and a guy that's in a relationship. But come on, when a guy has some financial money, whereas the girl doesn't. But if you're mandating for them to both Dutch pay, that's a social problem.
When you date people, when you date, do you really consider how much you earn, and how much the guys earn, how much the girls earn, and you compare that, and you with the ratio of your earning, do you pay? No, we don't think so. Even if the guy pays less than women, and even if the guys and women both are in the part-time job, actually they pay. The guys always pay. We see in many cases in the situation, we believe that is bad. And that's why their dependence on the situation is very tricky and very not reasonable in this motion. So moving on to our to reveal what the Prime Minister said, she talked about two things. First one is it devalues women. It gives social perception why women are underpositioned than guys, and how it devalues women's position in the society. Why social perception is going worse for the women. And second argument was like it's too much burden for men. It's not only for burden. It's not only for only bad for the women, but also only for the guys. Why? Why guys? Why do you need to pay everything when you earn exactly the same amount of money with the women? We believe that it's very unreasonable for the society to do, and guys feel so much burden. And actually, people may not date because of the money problems. We believe that we can actually boost love to the society. And so moving on to our third case is why this government has the obligation and why government has a responsibility to mandate to those people. Because we see so much social harm. The first one is that they couldn't connect between the relationship, the guy paying everything, and why the women are in the bad perception in society. Let's see, why do guys get more salaries than women when they are old? We believe that actually comes from this kind of very basic social perception. Guys are already dominating from their young age. They used to pay everything, and when they're getting old, when they're even getting married, actually guys still dominate, and they pay everything for the women. It gives from this kind of relationship, and it actually boosts to the society, and it gives the social disbalance between men and women. That's why it's big social harm to first start with, because it's coming from this basic thing. That's why it gives bad image about women, bad image about women for the society, and undervalue women. That's why it's a big problem. And also girls' mindset when they're dating, when guys don't pay everything, and when girls have to pay much, and they might meet other friends like, oh, you paid everything, you might feel easy. We believe that this kind of mindset is very bad. That's why government has an obligation to actually fix those kind of bad behaviors and make a more liberal society. For these reasons, I'm proud to propose this issue.
Thank you for the speech. Now I'd like to call upon the last speaker of this debate. Here. Thank you.
I think what government's doing today's motion is abandoning the effort and the time that women has put for 30, 40, 50 years in these centuries. I think they're from different centuries where they want to bring a social change by affirmative action to the people who already gained and achieved their own equalities in the society. We think woman is already independent, woman is already putting their effort to have a social mobility in the society. If we see the people who are already sitting in the CEO chair, and President, and also German Chancellor. We have several rebuttals. First of all, they were talking about how these policies are going to split the bills. We have three rebuttals. First of all, what kind of change are you bringing when there is individuality in this every personal relationships? They have every situations when man pays and when woman pays. And second of all, they described how paying is a power. Then I think what it means is my mom actually gave me meals and actually clothes for 15 years, for 16 years. I think mom had a perfect control over me. I think I was also independent in those situations. I think they're distracting the meaning of pain. I think it can be also derived by the love and also affection. Third of all, I think couples have a natural incentive to not financially harm each other when they love each other. I think they're totally ignoring the value of love when one woman and one man is in the relationship, whether it be man and man, whether it be woman and woman. We think they have natural incentive to not financially harm when I love this someone.
that point.
Second of all, they were talking about how this perception is made. We agree to a certain extent there were some disagreements or there were some discriminations, but I think they have failed to prove how majority of the people in the society views women as lower, because I don't see any woman in this floor who is lower than me. Third, they were talking about how there is man burdening this society, I think not any government in this society forces any man to date. I have a freedom of choice not to date in this society. Some guys in the society have a freedom or willingness to date. I think it depends on individuality and the choice of the people itself. Third of all, they were talking about how this freedom of choice is not made when there's a social harm. But I think there was no social harm proved by Gangsan nor Mirella when they were only talking about perceptions that minority of the individualities share in the society. I think that's why I think their whole argument fails. Now I destroyed them, right? I'm going to talk about a few things in my speech. What we value in this society is that it's not a woman's equality when woman follows men. When woman wants to be masculine by being a bodybuilder, that doesn't necessarily make woman equal to men because man is masculine. We think even if the woman is choosing a job of prostitution, we need to value and respect that choice because we respect the choices and the situations that they make. If the woman wants to have a food on the table and feed their own child, I think it's a valid choice of a woman to choose to be a prostitute.
Sir.
That's why we think woman in any relationship, any love in this society should be valued and have a right not to be intervened by the government. You are mandated to pay half. I think it also generates harm when the public policy recognizes woman as a weak one, when we have a grassroots change in this society. It designates woman as a weaker one because this public policy mandates state because we think woman is weaker, right? I think it's a direct message given by the government when government wants to directly say, you woman, you are weaker, so that we are going to change the society. I don't think so. There is a grassroots changes we see in the society where women put their efforts and time to actually be a higher position than women. We actually see them. What I'm going to prove today is three things. First of all, you don't mandate the personal and private individualities and rights. Same reason why you don't intervene to the bed, you don't define what is the right sex, what is not, right? And second of all, I don't think woman is in an unfair situation in this majority of the situations. And third of all, how to achieve equality as a whole. First of all, mandate. I think government has no right in the liberal democracy to intervene into any kind of relationships in this society. That's why we don't define love. That's why we don't define sex. That's why we don't define the individuality. I think what we respect the most is the individual self-actualization when they feel something, when they actualize by loving, when they actualize by doing something. I think government has no right, and it generates more further harm when they define love. When they define love as you paying, a man and woman paying the same amount of money, I think when the situation comes, when men are so poor or women are so poor, they're going to think, okay, this man is not paying the same amount, I think he's not loving me enough. I think this kind of perception would be made when they change this policy. Second of all, I don't think it's unfair because in this majority of the situations, majority of the couples share the value of how woman is higher than men because I beg for love. I think majority of the people are begging for love and they are kind of men. I think in this kind of situation where woman is already put upon a higher position than men, I think we don't need to change anything. The last question and the most important question in this debate is how to achieve equality. The second wave feminism failed because they tried to do something what men do. That's why women started to do UFC, the fightings, and also the masculinity, express the masculinity by being a bodybuilder. We think that's not going to happen. I think woman equality can be only achieved when woman and man is respected by the same standard, by the same general standard. I think that's why we're not going to touch the individualities and the rights of the freedom of choice of individualities, so that we're going to free them all and then respect their own values by their own situations, depending their own private matters. That's why we value women more than men. Thank you.
Okay, please give them big hand for their hard work. Here's a couple of announcements about new member workshop. Number one, this workshop will be held 7th of March, which means Friday to Sunday. On Friday and Saturday, we're going to learn about basic principles about debate, and on Sunday, we'll get an improvement. So I guarantee the quality of lecture. Secondly, again, if you decide to join this wonderful workshop, first I'll give a weekend, and secondly, you have to pay 5,000 won as registration fee. We'll provide you by using this 5,000 won. I promise we're never gonna use this money as a personal reason. Lastly, this workshop welcomes to everyone who are interested in debate. All we have open mind and warm heart, right? Sticker face, huh? So, we're not gonna hurt you. So, please feel free to join this wonderful workshop and do not miss this wonderful chance. So, thank you. So, is there any question?
One question we want to ask you, which team do you think won this debate? Government side, Chris Raven. Opposition side? Clearly they're paying